the regular meeting for March, Pascagoula-Gautier School District Board of Trustees to order. We have all 5 members here. Mr. Roberts, you have anything to add to the agenda?
I do not.
Any board members have anything to add or change on anything?
I would like to add board policy annual review. It's a lot to review at one meeting, so I ask that it be divided amongst our next few board meetings. It's a yearly thing. It's right.
What's your topic about
This is the discussion, next month's meeting schedule. For that meeting. For the April meeting. Hopefully by the time we get there, it'll be a short discussion. I hear a motion to approve the agenda as modified.
I second.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, nay? 5-0. Unanimous. Mr. Roberts, our first item is visitors. I know we have some signed up.
We do.
Talking to one lady.
Yeah, so Jessica McNeil, Wendy, Luke, last name?
Lorenzo.
Lorenzo, Rafael Aquino, and Luis Fernandez, and Kathy and Leonard Knight. So Jessica McNeil, the first person to speak.
She's right there. Jessica.
Good evening. I'm Jessica McNeil. I have,
Jessica. We have allowed, this is our time to listen to the public,
yes, sir.
so you're talking to us.
Okay. If I can scoot, so I'm not in Kristen's way.
Shelley?
Yes, Mr. Again, welcome, Jessica. And just some ground rules that the board has for their public participation. I know you're all familiar with it. We do have 15 minutes, a lot of public comment. We appreciate everybody being here tonight. If we could keep each speaker to 3 minutes, that would be appreciated. And obviously, inappropriate language will not be condoned. Don't expect any comment from the board. They may ask questions, they may engage in dialogue, but they're not required to. And if you have any specific issues, it would be helpful to address those to Mr. Godalvich, the superintendent. So with all that being said, let me go ahead, Jessica. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jessica McNeil. I'm PTA president of Beach Elementary. My daughter is a second grader at Beach. I don't know and don't pretend to know exactly what's on the agenda tonight, but what I do want to talk about is the importance of neighborhood schools in Pascagoula. It is vitally important to our community, to our town, to our students that we have these neighborhood schools. I love the idea when we try to recruit people from elsewhere to come work at my office or anywhere else in the community that we can sell our neighborhood schools. I know that people buy property in neighborhoods so that they can send their children to specific schools. I see kids all over the town walk every morning to and from schools, and it's a beautiful thing. It's such a source of pride in Pascagoula. It's one of the reasons that my husband and I wanted to move back here. We are happy to see our daughter every day go into her school, come out. It's in our neighborhood. When we had our property appraised, that was one of the selling points of an intangible finding, how nice it is to have a neighborhood school. I say that because it's important to me and I'm not alone. That's how we can sell our town. We have wonderful industry here. We all desire the people that work at these fabulous industries to come back to Gautier, to Pascagoula, to live, to work, and to join us and raise our kids here with us. I just believe it's vitally important that we cherish these independent neighborhood schools. And if there are problems with specific schools, we have a coalition of all stakeholders, be it administration, principals, teachers, parents, students. We come together and we talk about what are the problems, what are the pros, what are the cons, how can we fix this, what's worth saving, what can we save? But my vote is to keep open our neighborhood schools. And again, I don't pretend to know exactly what's on the agenda, but I do want to be heard, and I'll be here at the next meeting and the meeting after that. I feel like there is a resurrection, a resurgence of pride. I'm in Pascagoula, so I can't speak to Gaucher. I'm sure Gaucher is the same way. But I know there are a lot of young families who are moving back to Pascagoula. They're putting their kids in public school, and they are proud to do that. We want to help the district as parents, as mothers, as fathers, promote the Pascagoula-Gautier School District. So to any extent we can do that, we're here, ready, willing, and able. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Jessica.
Wendy?
Oh, I will speak on the side. She is Hispanic. I represent the Hispanic community. Her, Mr. Luis Fernandez, behind me. Our daughter goes to Jackson Elementary School, and we were wondering the situation of the barriers that this school has to overcome through. We've been hearing that what does it take to fix the school? That's one of the questions. And is it possible to gather, if it's possible to gather volunteers to do this job, like carpenters, plumbers? Is that possible to help do the repairs for the school? How much time will it take in the summertime? This is going to be the time off to fix the school and get it back to our children so they can go and continue with the education. And if it takes a little bit longer, we're wondering if the students will be transferred to other schools, what kind of guarantee we will have if the students will be transferred to a good school or the students that need some help. That is our concern. Board. Sorry, my first time.
Your first time. Expressing your concerns and supporting your parents group out there.
I'm 100% with that, sir.
We really appreciate your support. Thank you.
Luis Fernandez,
He's part of.
do you want to speak?
Okay, yes, he has.
He has some notes too.
Very easy, sorry. He has the same concern about, like, okay, what we really need to fix the school. What the help, if we can volunteer, like most of our like parents can come and help fix the school, because the school is the faculty have been helping, especially my daughter, to integrate her like from Spanish to English, and it's been helping very much. So we're just kind of concerned, all of us.
We
about that.
appreciate your concern. We really do. And when I saw the item the first time, I said, oh, we need some more PR on this. And we're still gathering data. Okay. We have, every year we have a plan. We have to do the budget thing. And we always look to see if we have the right tools at the right place with the right resources. And this is just part of our process. So, yeah, thank you.
Rafael Aquino?
Yeah.
Kathy and Leonard Knight.
Good afternoon. My main concern as a parent of a child that attending Gautier Elementary was the teachers carrying guns in the school, and what is your plan moving forward with that?
Okay, that's an item on the agenda down in, we have a security plan briefing tonight. So you'll be interested in that. All right.
That's all.
That's it? I want to note that we do have Mr. Charles Busby in the audience tonight. Appreciate you attending, Mr. Busby. Next item on the agenda is Ms. Dock and her presentation on what's happening in Arlington.
Good evening,
Second year.
everyone. So I'm required by the State Department to give you an update of a follow-up of what we're doing at Arlington this year to keep improving. And one of the things that we decided to do is to keep what's working at our school, keep those things going well. So we're continuing to have our PLCs, or our teacher meetings every week. We have those on Thursdays, and where we talk about issues or data that we need to improve with our students at each grade level. We started our tutoring again for our state testing. We started that plan again in February, just like we did last year. So we're keeping that up. And all of our students, we have 100% of our students in fourth grade attending, and about 95 or so in third. So I'm working on that other percent to see why they are not staying, but we're working on that. We're still doing with our in-house tutors, I use funds to support them with a particular system that is proven to work well with improving reading. So they are working with our students on that, and we have some upcoming training for our teachers to use that system as well. Our computer lab, I created a separate computer lab to give our kids additional support with some of the computer programs that we're using, and to use small one-on-one instruction with our students in that lab, so we're continuing that. And we do still have our state reading coach that comes and supports us once a month per their direction.
Did I ask?
So,
You said you were continuing those things that work.
yes.
You have an example of one that didn't work, that you said, okay, we're done with that?
No.
No, okay.
No.
'Cause it worked last year.
It's not broke, though.
All the pieces seem to come
All the
together.
pieces that we worked hard to put together were successful for us. We gained a lot. And our goal is to continue gaining as much or better.
Well, you had a good year last year.
We did.
Thank you very much. And I visited once last year. I apologize for not coming back. But I'll give you a call sometime. Try to come back. I was just doing a great job there. Thank you for it.
Thank you.
And I see, but I get confused sometimes. That a playground?
Yes,
Is
we had
is
an addition to our playground.
Yeah, that was,
And we did the bill Friday and Saturday, so we worked on that.
yeah,
And the kids were pretty excited.
yeah, about that. That's a good project.
So
Is it open yet that you'll be able to play?
Oh,
in it?
yeah, they played a whole lot today.
Good.
Yeah, I even turned my head on the extra 5 minutes of recess. They enjoyed it. They really are enjoying it. And our parents and helpers they really helped us a lot with that. So
Yeah.
we're pretty proud of that.
Yeah, it's a big job. And, thank you for all you do.
Thank you.
Mr. Robinson, next thing is the consent agenda that has several items on it.
Yeah, and I apologize, guys, I'm gonna have to stop, I've got a severe chest infection. I'm scratched up from here. We're grouping several routine items into a single consent agenda. Any board member may request that any or all items on the consent agenda be removed and considered as a separate item. If no such request is made, all items on the consent agenda may be approved by a single action of the Board of Trustees. Consent agenda for March 12, 2018. Request for approval of consent agenda. Request for approval of board meeting minutes, February 6, 2018. Request for approval of personnel resignations recommendations. Request for approval of operative claims for February 2018. Request for approval of student assignments and transfers. Request for approval of in-district student whose parent is an employee. Request for enrollment of out-of-district student whose parent is an employee. Request for approval of donations and grants. Request for use of facilities. Request for approval of removal of equipment from inventory and disposal. Request for approval of gifted assessment staff. Request for approval of IEE by Will's Way. Request for approval of extra duty supplements. Request for approval of overnight field trip, GMS band. Request for overnight field trip, VHS bowling team. Request for approval of overnight field trip, VHS history. Request for approval of out-of-country field trip, VHS history. Request for approval of overnight field trip, VHS choir. Request for approval of overnight field trip, CCTI. Request for approval of overnight field trip, VHS speech and debate team. Request for approval of licensed administrators, CTL staff, educational technology integration specialists, and non-licensed administrators for 2018-19 school year. Request for approval of school calendar for 2018-19. Request for approval of Title III FY18 immigrant children and youth grant applications on 2560. Request for approval of Title III FY18 limited English proficiency grant application fund 2560. Request for approval of Arlington Elementary Schools Focus Plan for 2018-19. Request for approval of revisions to the student handbook 2018-19 school year. Request for approval of application certificates of payments number 10 for Stewart Construction Company. Request for to accept substantial completion One Wheel Stadium and Southfield project. Request for approval of change order number 6 for One Wheel Stadium and Southfield project. Request for approval of bid Central Elementary and East Lawn Elementary 2018 improvement project. Request for approval of bid Pascagoula High School Performing Arts project. Request for approval of bid Trentline Academy and Central Office 2018 improvement project. Request for approval of the letter of commitment to the Mississippi Innovation Lab Network.
Board members, we've heard the long list of things that were on the consent agenda, and we've had the material to review. Any board member desire to have one or more of these items pulled out for special consideration in a separate vote?
Consent agenda continued, item E for discussion.
Which one?
Item B.
Continued item E. Echo.
We're looking at
Performing Arts Center, you want to bring it out and vote it separately?
Yes, just for the discussion.
put it on our number.
Any other?
I don't wish to remove anything, but I'd like to make a comment about one of the items. And it is about a request to approve the facilities. And there's been questions in the town about people wondering, do we just use our Family Interactive Center just for Super Saturdays? No, we don't. We use it for a lot of things. This month, we have, I was looking on here, we have Magnolia Park Elementary from Moss Point is requesting to use it. And then we have Cedar Lake Christian Academy that's using it. And we share some of our items like that with other schools. And hopefully they're sharing with us. I don't hear every little thing, but we do use it for a lot of other things other than that. And Mr. Dalton, do you have a number of attendance or roughly?
Super Saturdays is approaching 50,000 people. The overall attendance in that center is over 150,000 people. And our daily parent playtime with their children, those numbers have increasingly gone up. We're using about 150 people in our number.
But we still allow some of the pre-K classes to come in there?
Yeah, actually the pre-K launch pad with our daycares comes through there. All the daycares in Pascagoula-Gautier twice a month, I believe, and Head Start comes in one time a month into that facility. Plus we have some homeschool parents who come through there as well.
Okay, that's just something.
So, high school uses the gym.
Yeah, there's a wide range of people that are using it.
I move on the consent agenda.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. We're still in the discussion phase on this one, so we'll take our motion and I'll be there.
Sorry.
We got the original part one, item V, we need to discuss. Item V is the school schedule, school calendar, and in there is the meeting dates for school board meetings. And it shows in there second item on the second item in there is with the school board meeting dates. Shows that our meeting would have been scheduled on the 9th of March. And that's directly after the spring break. So the staff doesn't have time to make up the board packet and get the agenda set. So we need to, I've arbitrarily moved the meeting to the 11th of March. And I realized that didn't really solve the problem of getting the agenda put together and the packet put together for us. Because that, you come back to work on Monday, the packet would have to go out quickly, and it hadn't been able to be produced the week before. So now we're down to really crowding things again. So then we find out that the same item was on the agenda for March. This is in our consent agenda now to approve the staff and principals and certified people. So the question to the board is, just how do we want to handle the March meeting? And when we get through that discussion and figure out the logical answer, the same philosophy applies for the upcoming next month, April meeting, April week, because it's right after the spring break too. So think about it in context. And the last time we discussed it, and I believe it was in January, we more or less said we can have a special call meeting prior to the 15th of the month, and then have the regular board meeting on Monday. That would be the third Monday. Except that one item we've already approved. We have to, by state law, we have to do these approvals by the 15th of April. So, to the staff, did I misspeak that it becomes very tired, very tight? What?
Ms. Damon, do you have those suggested dates?
It was originally scheduled for the 11th, the 4th through the 8th of March is spring break. The 11th is the day it should be. If you went to that Thursday, it was the 14th. That's what we had talked about moving it to. You can always, like you said, move it to the 18th. You just have to have a meeting to that.
Any discussion on the date? We're going to have to put a motion to amend this agenda and vote on this, and then approve in the consent agenda motion, we'll approve this whole thing. We need to fix this up first.
Is the 14th enough time to have the packet put together? Does that work for you guys?
Not, I don't want to make it that tight. I really don't. That's really tight for the staff. Because, and it's tight for us. By the time they get the packet out the 12th for us. Now we got Wednesday to discuss it, and Thursday back to the board meeting. It's going to make it tight for them, but also make it tight for us. So I prefer to move it to the 18th, and knowing that we have a special call meeting.
Call the 14th?
Yes.
Is that acceptable to the administration? Does that work for you guys? Special call the 14th for that item, we have to legally act on, and then 18th for the regularly scheduled meeting. We have April as a separate action item later.
Got a separate action item, but it'll be following the same philosophy.
But we don't automatically know now, right?
No, this is just the proposed calendar of school board meetings.
So would you like me to vote on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I move that we amend the proposed calendar for 18-19 board meeting dates to add a special call business meeting on March 14th and to move the regularly scheduled board meetings to the 18th of March. Or,
Yeah.
Okay. We're either gonna pull that out to make a motion on it by itself, or leave it in here and put that we approve the consent agenda, moving the March 2009 board meeting to the 18th.
That's what I
If
think.
we do that, then we can leave it like it is, but if he's gonna do it the other way, then I'll have to take it out.
No, we'll just leave it there, we'll just
Okay, so then I'll just do a
make,
motion. I'll need a motion
make a
on
change
that.
to the,
I worded that, so.
we hear a second? Second. Johnson made the motion, Mr. Marks seconded that we have a special call meeting put on this calendar for the 14th and a regular meeting on the 18th. We'll just modify it within the consent agenda. We're dealing with it as an amended motion to the main motion. The main motion is to approve the consent agenda. So this is an amendment to the motion. Okay. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any other subjects need to be discussed?
Got a question, is Mr. Brooks here? Is that Stein Road? Mr. Brooks, you're taking 22 students to Pearl? Is that 22 students? Is that a large number of students? It looked like a larger number of students.
For the skills competition, sir?
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's more students than we take inside the
Yeah,
They'll
that
be
was a
competing
really
in-
comment. I appreciate the work that you're doing there.
Well, thank you, sir.
What areas are going?
We have students in welding, carpentry, small engine repair, marine engine repair, automotive repair, culinary in 3 different areas in culinary arts. Just 22 different skills that we teach in our building.
Great.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Seeing no other desires to make a comment, all in favor of approving the consent agenda items, including the one on the meeting motion as amended?
We need a new motion. That was
I thought we were voting on that.
We were voting on the amendment. The motion is on the floor, the main motion is on the floor to approve the consent agenda.
Have motion to approve the amendment consent.
It's all good.
Well, I thought you said we had to vote, make a motion on it again.
No.
Oh,
we
okay.
voted on the amendment.
I didn't think so.
No, we voted on the amendment,
On the floor.
amended motion.
Right.
The motion now is to approve the consent agenda as amended.
Oh, that's what I said.
Yeah,
Approve the
that's
amended.
that's what the current
You're
motion
right.
is. It has been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Oh, okay.
You won't vote on here.
I'm looking
I'll have
for a
to
pop-up.
read it. Okay, I'll back down.
Thank you. I think that since we amended our agenda, we have to all refresh our computers to get everything back correctly. So there's a little delay here.
So,
You get 4A.
I'm in 2 and 4.
You get 4A.
Meeting. Or. Four A.
Request for approval of bid, Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Center project. Bids for the Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Center project were open on March 2nd, 2018. Total of 3 bids were received. The lowest bid was from Worth Smith Incorporated of Sanford, Florida, submitting a total bid of $14,750,000. Mr. Ryan Flores, JBHM Architect, has reviewed the bid and has recommended the awarding of the contract. A copy of the bid tabulation form is attached to your perusal. They recommend the Board of Trustees approve the bid from Worth Smith Incorporated in the amount of $14,750,000 for Pascagoula High School Performing Arts Center project. If approved, this project will be paid for from funds generated through the original note.
Heard the superintendent's recommendation. Do I hear a motion?
I'll move.
Second.
You get to speak first.
Oh, do I have any comments?
Yes. But you made the motion.
Okay. Well, I really wasn't expecting this opportunity, but let me say again that I have seen a number of performing arts centers built all over America and in Europe. And I find that each one is so easy to say there's a perfect style for a performing arts center, but normally what you have is a choral auditorium, an instrument auditorium, and a performing auditorium. And each one of those are different. In the design of this, Mr. Radovich has, along with architects, have interviewed each of our different groups. We have a choral group, we have a band group, an acting group. And we even have dancing people who use the auditorium outside and then too for general purpose in a school situation. Each of those require different things, and to pull all of these into one auditorium for a school and have it for 750 seats is an amazing thing to have seen. So much is in this. We have a band pit for when we don't want the whole band, but we want some instrumentation. And this is just the basic thing. I appreciate Mr. Rodolphich's effort to pull everybody into this. Because so many people had strong feelings about what they wanted in an auditorium. The auditorium grew from the original estimate somewhat. And therefore it's going to cost a little bit more than our original estimate. But this is going to be something that the city will be proud of, and something that probably, in my opinion, I don't know exactly how many of our students will perform in it, but I would say over 1,200 students several times a year, along with their parents, and in attendance. I think this is a very nice auditorium that the city will be proud of for many years. So I'm thankful for all that work. Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
Yes, sir. To start, I echo a lot of that. I think it's a great thing. We've heard comments earlier about what it does to help market the community. When we're recruiting business and industry, I think it'll be a good place for the city. Good things will happen there. Really, I guess now, with the way economic times are, we're forced to shift to a more long-range planning scenario. Make sure that we do what's best, not only today, but we're looking years down the road as well. And I don't want to come off like I'm criticizing, because I'm not trying to help us plan better, and for me to try to understand those things when we set our base estimates, and then they come in a little bit of a surprise to us. I'm just wondering where our gap was, and maybe you can help, since you looked at it in detail when you're expecting here, and we got you with information that we didn't provide, things we weren't clear on, what we can do to help with our planning in the future, maybe what got us here.
Thanks, go for it. Mr. Watson mentioned, the things I think that is, we did a lot of wish list items and things that are great things to have, but probably the necessities, but may not have been reflected in the original estimate. We probably didn't do the best job.
Ron, I have a question. I sat on the strategic planning committee for the arts. This was a big, a big on the wish list of things we like. And when it was first brought to us, it had to fly. And I was really opposed to moving it. But one of the things that may have pushed me to be more accepting of it is that it may drive down the cost, because it was a big, 80 feet, I think, was going to be the height, and it also let us begin, moving forward with it. I don't know how, if the 11 million was before the fly was removed, so I don't know how we're at our lowest bid at 14,750,000. I don't know how many seats were added, or, the stage. I know the stage width was a discussion, but I'm just really uncomfortable not knowing the other improvements we had on our list, one being the electrical. We're talking, the transformer. That stuff's really important too. And it may be fine for 10 years more. It may not. And the thing is, when it's not, it's going to shut the whole district down. Like, you're not, that's your electrical, And I don't know how we've gone from 11 million to 14.75. That really worries me. And I don't know what we are expecting from our greenfield node, but I don't want to take from other projects to try to piecemeal the funds. So that's my biggest concern.
Back to
really excited about the opportunity to have this performing arts center. You know, a lot of people think, well, y'all building this big fancy building. Well, it is nice, but it's a high school auditorium. Is what it is. I mean, to my knowledge, we're the only school on the coast or anywhere that I've ever seen that did not have at least a cafeteria. I mean, we have nothing. And so, not only is it going to make it better for the high school, but what I'm going to say next, most of you don't know because you're not my age. I can remember when I went to Pascagoula High School, and of course I was in elementary school there and junior high, and back then the auditorium was used so much. I don't know if you call them traveling troops or whatever it was, but there'd be different groups coming through the town at different times, and there was always something going on there. And it was so good for the community. Everybody just took pride in all the events that were there. And I'm in such high hopes that we can once again, as well as some of the folks tonight, we're regaining our pride. And I'm in hopes that that's going to happen the same with this building. I think we're just one step towards that. That's all I have to say.
Where will the funds come from?
I can't speak to that person.
I mean, that's a big part of, I mean, you know, keep the money we don't have. Right.
I mean, I'm not the finance person, but we have.
Have we taken away from any other projects for this building?
The project that will be delayed will be the electrical power at the CCT, I'm not the Family Interaction Center. We're going to move that service from the center of the campus to the exterior of the campus. That project is about $885,000 project.
Are we banking on savings from projected bids coming in?
Well, we've already had some
lower?
savings on bids, but we also have some funding also available.
Because the only thing that bothers me with that is we have projected and our bid is way over on this. And I know we're on our, sixth change order for the stadium. So, I mean, just like building a house, you can have a budget. But I guarantee you, you're going to be about 30% above what you budgeted. So I really don't want to lose money that we think we're going to save somewhere else. It has to start.
That's a big reason, because there's 3 bids tonight.
Right.
And so, therefore, all that needed to, so you could make a informed decision.
Right.
To bring it to look at.
Mhm.
The 2 or 3 over budget by 1. So that's
Well, look at my thought. This is my thought. Of course, this is going to relate to future projects, you know. But look what we've done. We've renovated all of the elements. You know, we're not putting off anything that in my opinion, instructional to the kids. And this is a kid project. Now, one of the things we're going to put off, in my opinion, is probably roof repair. But roof repair is not a kid's thing. It's more of it, in my opinion, and people get mad at it, it's a teacher thing. Teachers don't like it publicly. But those, you know, we're going to have issues. We have to put off the electrical work that was going to go to improve our what is
You know, so
computer central network, and that we have fully powered right now, but we have transformers in the center, and it's not a good place. They're old and closed. But I tell you, from supporting our students, giving them something that they'll be proud of, and that really will. You haven't seen the teachers. You know, I even asked the teachers in Gosha, I said, you know, we have the Performing and Singing River. Are y'all going to come to the Pascagoula facility for band concerts? She said, you better believe it. Yeah, we put the band on the stage, but there isn't a room for a violin player to do this, or a trombone, you know, we've been to some of those things. It's amazing that they're able to do all of that, so.
My thing is, our nicest facilities do not house classrooms.
Pardon?
Our nicest, newest facilities do not house classrooms, like classroom instruction,
Like
student
what?
achievement.
Like
They're
what?
great.
Like, what do you?
I'm saying we have a school here that we're trying to figure out if we can afford to make it feasible for the next year. That's where, I mean, classroom
That's
instruction
not- it's
happens
not
in our
funding-
schools.
It's not funding of the
I'm not
school.
asking, I'm not saying that, it's not an operational
That's-
item, but I wish we would invest in our existing structures. This is great, and it's gonna be great, and I feel like it will be built. But I just feel like
won't-
we're,
I mean, if it's 14 million this year, it's gonna be 15 million next year. You're talking about.
well, what's
You know,
our
and what
fund
are we gonna-
balance
we're gonna-
now?
well,
It could be
so-
more next year, you know?
And I
If we
guess
don't-
that's where I'm kind of at odds with the two, because I completely understand what you're saying, and I do think that it will be a big benefit to the community when we have new families or new business coming in, when we walk them through there and say, look at this facility, and all the things that we can do with these young people, and even the outside groups, the performing arts centers that we have, several good ones in this location that will benefit from that. I truly feel like, however, I also feel like we kind of cancel that out when we say, now come for our high school, never mind the garbage can in the hallway that's catching the brick. Right, step around that. And then when we go into the CCTI, and we say, look at all these beautiful things that we've done here, never mind the welding shop that hadn't been touched for 20 years. And it's just the same thing. If we feel confident that we can do this and continue to maintain the facilities that we currently have, then I'm okay with that. We just had a lot of work done in the past several years in Gautier, and I thank the board for that support and the administration, the architects, for everything they did to help us over there, and did it in a big help to that community. And I don't want to sound like the guy that's coming in trying to stop anything that Pascagoula is doing. I'm just saying we have to think about it in a sense of long-term fiscal stability, and do we have that guarantee is my question. If the answer to that's yes, then I'm fully on board. But things like roof repair that both our high schools, we saw reports, it's in bad shape. And it really is.
The roof is, I mean, the roof needs repairing. Rubber around pipes and sticker need to be repaired. There's a lot, you know, and it needs to all be rolled into a project.
I agree.
But what I'm saying, in my opinion, if we don't act now on the auditorium, we'll never have an auditorium, because we have been working for years to get this. We wanted an auditorium. I was here helping design our high schools. We were trying to put an auditorium at the high school before the high school even went out to bid. The city of Pascagoula wouldn't give us any property around the high school area in order for us to, wouldn't sell us, wouldn't give us, didn't want the auditorium. So since 1994, we have been purchasing the property around the high school. We've got all the athletic fields. We've been taking, Katrina hit. We had to do repairs to the buildings. We've done an excellent job bringing all of our education facilities up to speed. The roof repair has been a constant project of the maintenance department. You can go and see that there have been professional people come in, this is how we need to do it, this is how we need to do it. But, you know, you can't do it that way. You need to turn it over to the professionals instead of do it. So it's in our packet. We're going to go ahead and do it, but it'll just have to be delayed. Unless you want, unless we want the roof repairs done now and forget the auditorium, then we can do that. But we're not gonna, the inflation on a $14 million building is gonna be a lot more money than the inflation on a $1 million roof. So if you want the roof, vote no and we'll do the roof. If you want the roof in a year or two, and it's been leaking since 2002,
And I guess that leads to my point when we say it's just gonna have to be controlled a little bit. You said it perfectly just then. It's been leaking since 2002. How long are we gonna postpone it? And I don't mean that to be atrocious. I'm just asking. And so we had a public work session not too long ago where we all brought some ideas to the table about some future projects and things we'd like to do. We had several community members here. I don't want to put anybody on the spot, but has anybody looked from a fiscal standpoint at the feasibility of this project where it sits now, coupled with the items that we addressed in the public work session when we brought forward and discussed those projects?
You're speaking of the appearance, the outward appearance of the buildings, those projects that we spoke about, I should make sure I'm talking about.
Yes, ma'am.
I know immediately after that work session, Commissioner Goffard sent out a directive for the principals. I think Mr. Parker had a role in that, I believe, and his name, Mr. West did too. They were given a budget to work on the outer, the sides of the building. So that we worked, to answer your question, that was worked within the budget, current budget that we have.
Like Dan, I've been around this place a while, and the desire for the Performing Arts Center surfaced, I think, in the 2007 strategic plan. At that time, it was, ballpark as an $8 million project. We're now 11 years down the road from there. Not much has changed in the concept of what we were going to have. The price has changed, and it's going to continue to change. So, your question, Kathy, do we have the money to do this with? Yes, we have the money off for $3 million. And if you look at our quote fund balance, you say, oh yeah, you got lots of money. Well, that money is reserved for hurricane restart. In 2005, there was $8 million there to front restart. We spent every penny of it getting school started quickly. It had FEMA reimbursed us for our startup money, and there's now $12 million there. I don't believe, go back, I'm not going to have another $8 million hurricane, I hope. If I do, I'm leaving. But I would believe we could have a $4 or $5 million hurricane at 2005 prices. And if I take that at 150% or 200%, I'm up into the $9 million region of expected expenses for a hurricane restart. That leaves me some room in here to use that money here for one time and replace it as we see we need to get us back up to hurricane restart position. So I'm convinced we have the money, Ms. Wilson. I've looked at this really carefully for several years. And part and parcel of this 3 mil note, as Mr. said, that would be sufficient to do our project. And the immediate reaction is, oh, we can delay some. Well, I'm not in favor of delaying a roof at all. Okay. I can delay the electrical project because that's a risk thing. We only have that expense facing us if that transformer would fail. And it's a matter of pulling out the transformer and putting another one on site. But we have to pay for that. Where if we move it to the outside of the buildings, get it out of that center complex, then the power company is paying to replace the transformer. That's a risk reduction activity. Last 20 years of my business was dealing with risk, identifying them and assessing them, figuring out what they were worth. So,
Mr. McKinney.
Yes, sir.
If you allow me, let me give the public some information. Number one, this is a 3 mil note that we took out that we've been delayed on already. We have a limited window of time in order to build this Center for Performing Arts. If we have to delay it anymore, the Center for Performing Arts will not be built. It can't be built within the time frame that we have. Secondly, when you look at what have we done since 2005 with our funding, we have spent $87 million in the school district upgrading facilities. There are 19 schools in the school district that we have to try to make sure that we upgrade everything in them. That's from ceramic tile hallways to brand new, completely renovated restrooms. Jackson Elementary has brand new renovated restrooms. They have renovated classrooms, but there's still issues at Jackson as an example. So we're maintaining 19 properties, but in total in the school district, we maintain 40 properties as a school district. During the same period of time, we have reduced taxes over that time, and we've had an increase in the value of a mill in the same period of time. But we've taken that money and we've invested. We've invested in our teacher salaries. So all you folks that are sitting out here tonight, your children go to school in the school district that is one of the best paying school districts in the state of Mississippi. You have one of the only school districts that has one-to-one technology from 4th through 12th grade, and we have systematically measured everything that we've done. We upgraded our athletic facilities to some of the best in the state, but if you look in Jackson County now, they're upgrading their athletic facilities to be some of the best in the state. So there's a pace that we have to keep if we want to attract people to come to this community. Now we have an opportunity here for a Center for Performing Arts for our children who attend dance recitals, for our churches who want to have different events there, for our young people who have been in national drama competitions to compete, for our bands to have a nice venue to perform in, and for something for this community to rally around and have pride about. So I understand there is a risk there. I've been a risk taker since I got here 13 years ago because we had nothing after Hurricane Katrina, and we built this thing back over that period of time. And we've tried to manage everything to the best of our ability. But this is a project for children. It doesn't benefit the adults here. It benefits children. It gives them something they can be proud of, and they know people care about them when they do that. That's an investment. It's a capital investment in these cities. I'm speaking on behalf of band teachers, drama teachers, dance recital teachers. My children are all in those types of events, and there's nothing worse than going and sitting in the Coliseum on a concrete floor watching a stage at 40 feet away. This place is state of the art. It also provides an opportunity for you to go and watch a movie with your family if you want to do that for children. There's no movie theaters here, not here or in Gautier. So this is a prime opportunity for us to do something really cool for kids. And that's what I'm doing. And I understand every time I make a recommendation of this nature that I'm putting myself on the line, but I am more than willing to put myself on the line for our children, any opportunity I get. And that's why we put the Performing Arts Center. It was a plan that was written by 250 community members. It has been on our plan since 2007. It will not get any cheaper than it will be today on doing this project if we're going to do it right. And that's my 2 cents.
Well, I want to finish up with one more thing. Mr. Ridolfi frequently looks like a growling bear and some of the things that he says. But let me tell you, everything that a person says, he takes to heart. And he did it with our teachers when they started talking about what size auditorium. We went through the permitting process, the neighbors complained of some issues, and other people that came in wanted certain other things added to it. I'm not gonna, I'm not the one to, I've asked, I'm not the one to describe all this stuff, but if you wanna know, probably $2 million has been put into this project just to make the community, to meet the community needs and requirements, if not educational requirements. So if you're asking why, the comments that have been made, and a lot of them have been ugly, have been included in the design of this area. So the neighbors talked about flooding, okay? So we're building in an accommodation to hold the water from the rain. You know,
Yeah.
a whole bunch of stuff. If we don't want it, we don't want it. That's fine. I've worked on it since 1991. You said in 2002 the roof started leaking. It hurt me too. But still, I'm trying to take projects in order, and this is something I honestly feel students need. You've talked about the community. You know, if it should just be for students, but we put in an awful lot of work for the community too. So
And I'm not saying for a second that I don't want the center, so I don't want it to be construed that way. And I'll close, I guess, with a question to you, Mr. Chair. And I know that you don't have a crystal ball in front of you. You've been here a while, though. You've seen the ebbs and flows of this thing. We share a lot of the same thought train around life cycle management, around long-range planning. In your personal opinion, and I understand it's just that, can we, and I'm not talking about risk management, I'm talking about the broken components. We have a few of them with the roof. Do you think we can do both?
Yes.
All right, I'm good with it.
Yes. It's a matter of, there'll be some places where we'll say, I'll take that risk. Okay? We have to assume there's places. It's not like you went down and you got cash to buy your new car, and I don't care what the price is, I'm gonna go buy me a new car, I'm gonna pay cash. Sure.
And I would feel better about the price tag if, I know that we can do these other projects. If we need to develop a maintenance plan or
I think
something
that,
with
I
our
think
existing.
that's really planning, and yes,
That's not
but
only
yes, I
reservation.
believe we have the money available to do that.
Okay, and I'm fine with that. I believe we have to look at it from both angles. Our primary concern is the children, let there be no doubt. And we should make decisions for the children, let there be no doubt. However, if we don't maintain what we have, and it has to be, everything has to draw people here, business here, because it takes business, industry, and young families to put children in these schools. So we have to make it all upkept and nice. And I'm not saying for a second I don't want it, because I think Pascagoula needs it. I think it would be great. I just want to make sure that we're not sacrificing the world. That was all. If that's your opinion, I'll take that.
I'm willing to go with it, I really am.
Okay.
Okay, it's been a studied item to me. Okay. All in favor say aye. We have a motion on the floor to approve the bid for the Pascagoula Arts Center.
Okay. Aye.
Aye. Any opposed say nay. You got your thing up there somewhere. Find it for you. There. Next item on our agenda is informational reports. First one on the list is the vandalism report.
I'm just amazed that on the vandalism report, that very rarely do we have any vandalism with that many facilities. It's just really, you know, big well of community, and of course, a broken window theory, where if we have a broken window, we fix it real quick. We don't let it sit there with graffiti or anything on it. But we very rarely have it. And what was the biggest loss we had this year, Mr. Rodolph? Was it a fence or something like that?
Oh, that was the biggest.
That was the biggest thing as far as vandalism.
Someone got drunk and ran into a fence, and that counted as a vandalism report. I didn't think that qualified.
We never did, we couldn't find out.
We couldn't find who did it to get the restitution from them.
Discipline report? This comes on several sheets. Really, when I was looking at it, I didn't find anything alarming. Mr. West has worked and worked and worked. He and our IT department have worked to make this be useful, illustrative, and have the same criteria from school to school to school on how to report the data, which was a little bit of education required. Appreciate your efforts, Mr. West.
Yeah, I do too. I've come up with a new request. Could you put on here somewhere, we have two different ways of having students stay in their class. Could you put those type of incidents in separate issues? My understanding is one time we had a discussion of, there's a lockdown where you lock the students in, and then there's another where you just delay class change or
State to state.
Yeah, so could you put those in somewhere so we can see the number of incidents?
Are those discipline
Pardon?
Are those discipline issues?
That would be something that would come under a school threat.
Well, it looks similar. It looked like it might fit. I'm sorry. If it doesn't fit in here, yeah, I'm just curious as to. It's not very often, but I like to be. I can't tell, because I don't know the number. I get an email whenever it occurs, but.
We can use that for sure. Construction update, I think most of this has already been discussed. Brian, maybe from a different view.
On the construction, well, there was a problem for a while with the dirt loads going into the dirt count. Are we still working on that? Okay.
Yeah. Through the construction, I am.
Yes.
Next item there is our new chief of police, Mr. Hutchins. Talk to us about our safety plan and what modifications we deem appropriate to keep our random shooters out of the building.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening. First of all, I'd like to say that we've looked at a lot of different things since this shooting took place in Florida. We made a lot of changes in the procedures of the way we do drills. Procedures are in place. I'm not going to talk about what we do, but they're in place. And standing behind me, you see the local police department, Gautier, Pascagoula. They are also working in conjunction with us, ensuring the safety of our children. Right now, the chiefs of police are making sure that each day officers are going by every school. They're signing in, going walking the halls, and we have welcomed the police department into our school. So that's one thing to ensure that the parents to know that their children are safe. I know the talk has been about teachers on the handgun. Right now, I just don't believe it's necessary at this time for our staff to be armed with a handgun. As you can see, we have qualified police officers in schools. Most of the officers that you see in the schools are resource officers. They used to work for the Gautier Police Department or Pascagoula Police Department. They're well-trained officers. They're not just the security guards with flashlights. They're certified officers that are required to have continuing education, at least 20 hours each year. So we don't have just anybody walking around with guns in our school. We have trained people in our school that are trained to eliminate threats. The teachers, they're well educated to teach our children. We don't want to put guns in their hands. And also, where they lay a gun down to the side and forgot where they put the gun, place the gun, and some child picked that gun up. Then they have to be worried about where I placed that gun. So that's something we don't want to put at this time, put guns in our teachers' hands. We'll leave it up to the police department and myself as to engage in certain threats, because what you deem a threat may not be a threat to us. Maybe it's something where we can talk it and negotiate. Where a teacher feel like, take them out. We don't want that. We don't want that to happen. And then we also need to take in consideration, if we do have an active shooter in the school, say one of our officers go down, well, the teacher come out of the classroom to help that officer. Well, these officers coming in don't have any knowledge of who our staffs are. All they see is a person with a gun. They don't take that teacher out because that's what they're trained to do, is to take out the threat. So that's the things that we don't want to happen. And we're very fortunate to have our schools in the city of Pascagoula and Gautier, where we have multiple officers out here. Like in a rural area or something like that, maybe something that they may want to look at before as Pascagoula School District, Pascagoula-Gautier School District. I don't think we got enough well-trained officers in our city right now that can take out any threat anytime we take. And that's why I think we want to leave that in the hands of our law enforcement. I don't know if y'all, no one ever been in a situation where you had a gun pointed at you, where you had your life, protect other lives of other people. I've been in a situation like that, where I was working a fight club, where a guy came in to take someone out, shoot one person, but he got in that club with that gun. He took out many people. My job was to engage the threat. I engaged that person and eliminated the threat. The person didn't demise, but the threat went up the road, and later on we made the arrest. But I recognized the threat, but what the teacher recognized what the threat is. Before I tried to take the person out, I talked to him, told him to put the gun down. He didn't, but he raised the gun at me. So I did what I was trained to do. And so that's what trained officers do. We go out, we're training these situations, and our teachers not. They're trained to educate our children. And I have children in this school, sir. And I would rather for my teachers here to be trained to educate my children, not be worried about shooting to take someone out. And right now we have Mr. Brooks. He also can elaborate on some things.
And she pointed out a lot of things that I plan to talk about. The main thing is the training. Our teachers are trained to educate our children, to nurture our children, not to engage people with guns. My adult life, I've been training with weapons, Marine Corps active duty, with Mississippi Army National Guard. And I don't deal with weapons on any other level except for that. I wouldn't feel comfortable in our school moving around with a weapon. So I think it's a good idea to leave it in the hands of our law enforcement. The response time is outstanding. Whenever we have anything going on and a lawyer come in, it's unreal, huh? They're really quick. and like she said, they don't know our staff, okay? If something was to happen and a staff member has a gun, it's not dressed like these guys, dressed like me, or dressed some other way, but with a weapon, it's gonna get taken out. And because they gotta protect themselves, and they know students, no one in the school, they're expecting pencils and all that stuff, they're not expecting a handgun, so they're gonna take that person out. And we introduce so many things that can go wrong. With 20 plus years of training, I still see accidents. You know, they've got a weapon down, it goes off, he thought it was unloaded. Weapons get lost, found by people. Okay? So accidents and incidents will happen if we just willingly bring guns into our school. So I think we really need to think long and hard about it before, taking action on that. And that's just me.
Mr. Nolte, I'd like to make a comment. You don't mind? Y'all don't mind. I was, this is to Mr. Hutchinson. I was looking on the internet at different things, and there's a school in Ohio that what they do, they label their windows. Let's take like East Lawn, for instance. If there was a threat in classroom, say 8, I don't know how they're numbered there, but in classroom 8, well, looking from the outside, I do not know if I'm a first responder. I don't know where classroom 8 is. I don't know if it's the middle of the building, the end of the building, wherever. But they put these stickers on the window that identify that classroom so that they can, get to it from the quickest possible way. Like I say, like East Lawn, I can't tell where they end, where they start. What I found on the internet. Not anything I thought of, which it is, but it didn't.
But one other thing that we have done is we have laptops and cameras throughout our school. We are provided that to the local police department. In case there's a situation, they can pull it up on their computers, view what a threat is, and be able to go in to take it out, whatever they have to do. So we provide that same capability to go in, they can actually watch it and know exactly where you can go to handle whatever situation that arises. And another thing we have purchased and get ready to purchase, if you will. Well, the gadget right here, we're purchasing from Lowe's. And the teacher goes into lockdown for whatever reason, they can take this and prop it up against their doors. Kick that in, and if someone tried to come in and push that in, that door from the other side, you can't get in. We've actually got the door.
This would be for doors that don't lock.
Doors don't lock.
We have several classroom doors that don't have
You don't have locks in the door. We're working, but
We're working on that, but you gotta replace, in many cases, you gotta replace the whole door. Because you upgraded it, and it wasn't a fire-rated door. Now when you upgrade it, you get $1,200 to $1,500 expense for getting the new door. $4,000?
Yeah.
Well, and plus, we don't have hollow core doors. All of ours are like a solid maple. They are.
I'll stand corrected, $4,000 for every door that doesn't lock. That has, where the whole door has to be replaced.
Yeah, and one final note, guys.
We got a low cost.
Yeah, there's actually multiple types of devices that we have, and they can remotely pull up any school in the district from anywhere on these laptops, so you can identify anyone in the hallway. You have to be buzzed into the school with a camera system. We're upgrading those camera systems to where it's a talk back, so we can require ID and things like that for the schools. That's on all of our locations. But think about this from a mathematics standpoint as it relates to introducing guns to campuses. We have 19 schools in the Pascagoula-Gautier School District. If you introduce 19 guns in the hands of an educator, and you multiply that times the 4 times that educator has to handle that gun during the day, that's taking it out of the car, that's placing it in their classroom in a safe, locked place, then that's taking it out, and that's putting it back in their car in the afternoon. So that's 4 times. You multiply that times 180 days. That's 13,680 opportunities for someone to forget to unload a gun, to forget to engage a safety, to forget that they got 1,000 things to do today and I left my gun at the mailbox and somebody picked it up. You know, and as a person who also has children in our school district, I don't want my child in a classroom where somebody may have left a drawer open and some little kid pulls a gun out not knowing the lethal nature of this weapon that's in that classroom. So we're taking every precaution that we can, but we'll always look at suggestions to make ways we can better secure our campuses. So we're open to that. But we appreciate these guys. They've met with us extensively.
Yeah.
I have one thing, Mr. Hutchins.
Yes, sir.
Captain. And maybe it's not your area, but we have a process of ringing the doorbell, locking the school down all the time, and ringing the doorbell. The one thing that seems to slip in my mind, and everyone has their own things, is if an individual has a package that's there, you know, eventually, well, I think, I'm afraid we'll open it up and allow, you know, these, at some point, this seems to me like there ought to be some sort of inspection of the packages before they come in to the schools. Maybe, I mean, you know, you can stick it under a under a raincoat or a jacket or something like that, but I've done long enough to be a, you know, a package. I don't know, you know, I'd like to feel comfortable that the secretary wouldn't mind just saying, please stay there a minute, we'll have someone come out and make sure.
I don't know if there's anything in place, but I do know there's someone that's taking the packages up, because I had a package delivered today, he was already inspected. And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I don't know who inspected the package. The fact that we have someone already in place that's doing that.
Y'all are doing a lot, I know, and I'm just an amateur. I don't know if that's a valid type of thing to worry about.
We're not going to underestimate anything. We'll look into it. Yes, sir.
Stop you one more time, Jesus.
Yes, sir.
I'm sorry, we got to hear it. How long have you been with us now, Chief?
February 12th?
Yeah, you had an exciting welcome to the district over this last month or so.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I just wanted to let you know that I have had multiple, and when I say multiple, I mean probably to the tune of 7 or 8 educators talk to me and say how good they feel about you being on with us because they see your boots on the ground every day. And so I'm going to let you know we appreciate it. We appreciate you guys. Y'all for the community, but you're taking that above and beyond. The parents, community stakeholders, we thank y'all for that. So it is not unnoticed, although it may not seem that way on most days when you go home. We are grateful for what y'all do.
Next item is the item here that says restructuring of Jackson Elementary.
Right. So please see attached information for discussion. To make sure everybody in the room understands that there is no Lake Elementary, there is no Beach Elementary, there is no Central Elementary anywhere on this item. This is strictly a management thing that we do on a yearly basis. We have and I'm going to let Mr. Parker speak to it in just a moment. I'm going to let Ms. Damon speak to it in just a moment. But basically what we have with Jackson Elementary, which we have remodeled after Hurricane Katrina, and we put ceramic in and everything. But we have a chronic flooding issue on that campus that we have tried to address in multiple ways. One of the issues is we can get it off the property, but it doesn't go any further and it begins to back up onto the campus. That includes restrooms, that includes manholes, all those areas. The other thing is we have some deteriorating steel structure in window frames and the pods that are out there We have Tecton that's absolutely obsolete in the, where you walk through the sidewalks, children are having to walk in several inches of water, including Miss Dame on the first day of school. And we've tried to address it on multiple occasions to correct it. And the other issue is the configuration of the campus that there's an issue with. Now, there's some things we can do in the short term to correct some of it, but in the long term, it's going to take some extensive work outside of that campus in order to stop it from having an unsanitary situation for the children that are there. And the main, most pressing problem is that water that's backing up on the campus. So, Ms. Damon, you're Mr. Parker.
We've been discussing this for a long time, and Weber has done numerous things out there to try to fix it. And we're at the point now where he basically stations a maintenance man on that property on a regular basis every day to make sure that it's finished. You know, it comes a time where I have to look at it as a parent, and I have to say that I want my child going and dealing with some of these situations that our children potentially could deal with there. I don't think it's sanitary when children can't flush a commode because it rained. That's an issue that's bigger than, you know, those types of things. Walking through water, you know, it's unreal what my teachers and those children have to go through during a rainstorm. There's just no reason those children should have to have rain boots stashed in their, you know, cubbies at that school so they can get to lunch every day. Recess, probably couldn't tell you the last time they've been able to go out for recess because it is a constant mud hole. And like I said, we've tried to fix some things, but we have infrastructure problems. I think it's a combination of us, and I think it's a combination of some city issues too, with the way that the sewer backs up there when it rains hard. And I just don't think it's fair to our employees or our children there. They deserve better than that, and we can give it to them, and we need to do that.
It's like she said, I mean, the infrastructure, it's the only campus where between every pod there's a sewer manhole. When I say manhole, it's an open surface with a lid on it. And once the sewer backs up, unlike everywhere else where it's poured, it backs up where the waste is between the pods. And I mean, you know, you'd have to redo the whole structure of the sewer system to the city. And the main thing that happens is a flooding issue out there, so to stop some of the flooding issues that also are an issue, you have to go all the way to the sewer city drainage system and get them to help us with some drainage to make sure we're in the main system to stop that, because the campus has nowhere to drain right now. And those are the things that we'll have to look at.
Is there, have you looked at, do we have any room for any smaller retention ponds, you know, for that?
Well, there's no place to put that, but you'd have to get it. The only place we'd have to put that would be between us and Head Start.
Right. And I was just wondering about that. That would hold a lot of water. And then, of course, I have a question for Ms. Damon. You know, when I visit the elementary schools, I ask all the principals, I say, how many vacant classrooms do you have? Most of them say none.
Well, I will tell you, they're going to tell you they have none because they put something in every classroom, but that is not a classroom that's in there. So they easily fit when you split them between the three schools. And in reality, they're still neighborhood schools. The majority of these children would still be able to walk to a neighboring school the way they're split. There are some that will have to ride a bus, but we have to remember that we have 4 schools that are very, very close to each other over there. And there was a time and a place in Pascagoula when that was absolutely necessary, but that is not necessarily the case.
And as far as at least on the short term, you know, that I'd like to try to remedy some of this, you know, the shipyard, I mean, I hear talk every day about their employment figures are going to explode. And if they explode, and then we take these students and move them to a school, then we do not have any extra space then. We'll be moving portable classrooms in, or overloading class sizes. I mean, because, I mean, they say at least 5,000 more employees there, and which will bring in a lot of students. So
We
that's my,
still
those
have
are my
some space,
concerns.
even with this change, we still have some space.
Has
to
the
do some
city
of
been
this.
contacted about trying to figure out what it would take and what it
It's
would
just,
cost?
there's no place for it to go. It's sort of like what happens on Tucker Street. Once the main line fails, there's just no place for it to go. But we have
So
to
it
see.
can't be corrected? You're saying it cannot be?
Well, we can get it off our campus and put it in the street. But right now, we can't get it off our campus. So there's no catch basin that's built in between the pots. Everything now is surface.
How old is the library? When I toured.
The library is relatively new. You have the D hall and the library that is relatively new.
What do you
Two
think on
thousand,
that?
that was 2000, the library was newer 2000.
Well, I was, while we're talking about age, the school was built probably mid-60s, I'm guessing. And we've always had big rains and all, and I'm just wondering, is the city's infrastructure messed up and why that's happening now? I mean, we've had.
I don't know, I can't,
I'm out
it's
just
just,
wondering,
it's a
what's
combination.
changed, you know?
Weber and I have talked numerous times about, the potential to fix it. There's, as Weber says, money can fix anything. The issue is we also have to remember that we only have a 10-week summer. This isn't work that can be done with children on that campus. This isn't work that can be done safely with employees there and those types of things. So, when we work on campuses like that, we have to remember we only have that really short window of time to get those kinds of things.
But I guess my question, would be Weber, do you have any idea of what has changed and those
A lot of
people
it-
issues?
A lot of it's got to do with this safe sidewalk as far as us. When they come in and put the sidewalks and they built them up, the streets are draining into the sidewalks, and now the sidewalks are built up the area around the campus because they're on the city and campus property.
But what about the sewer part of it, though?
Well, the sewer, that's more, all the positive rains, all the storm water's going into our manhole.
Okay.
We need, because they're at ground level, so we gotta get them restructured and make it all raised up and we do, this old clay pipe
Right.
that's been there since the sixties and
Is there enough room to make the grading to where when it goes to the city?
it's,
I mean, because I'm familiar with, we have that issue that.
yeah.
One of the things I ran onto, the gentleman that's on the Education Issues Committee with me, is the manager at the Jackson County Sewage Treatment Plant. And we were talking about, how come Jackson County's charging us so much? He was quick to tell me that, and I forget the numbers exactly, but it was like 15,000 gallons, and I didn't get per minute, per hour, per day of sewage gets transferred to him for treatment. When it rains, there's 4 times the amount of flow. 3 of those are rainwater. That has absolutely flooded the sewage system. And that's what we're getting into here, and it's, whether the pipes are partially collapsed or they went through several years ago out in Brookwood and flushed the sewers and recoated the inside of the pipe. Out there are no drains going down to handle stormwater. That's all surface drain. But I see drains along Polk Avenue, they're going down somewhere. If that's getting into the sanitary sewer and getting treated as sewage at Jackson County Utilities, this is all part of this old infrastructure. That's what they pulled out in Gulfport and Biloxi and replaced, and have been working on it for 3 years, by the way. So,
Have there been complaints from the teachers, the parents, the kids? I mean, is there
Every
raw
parent,
sewage going on?
every parent
shoes,
advisory,
or-
we hear about the flooding, and and have heard about it cleaned.
I mean, because ours floods, every time it rains, our walk, where we pick up our carpool. So our kids walk through water, not from all sewage, but
It's different than anywhere else, yes. Everywhere in Pascagoula, when it rains, you're gonna have water. The difference is, if you're in that back pod, I mean, I'll take for the first day of school, the first experience our kids had at Jackson, the first day of school, they couldn't get from the back pods to the front. And literally, to go around and meet my teachers that day, luckily I was in capri pants, I took my shoes off, had them in my hand, and went and greeted every classroom in there, and it was above my ankles. It's not a little bit of water, it's a massive amount of water, and, I mean, it's not just rainwater. I think, and that's the bigger issue with me, hearing how the toilets, and, you know, we're not even using certain toilets on that campus for fear that they back up and some of those types of things. That's my bigger concern. I just don't think that's not right to my employees that feel that, get that every day, and it's not right to my kids. When I have space to do something else with them, that keeps them close, it keeps them in the neighborhood schools, it doesn't overcrowd anybody at any point. Even with the new enrollment numbers, we are still not as big as we were, 15 years ago. These schools are still smaller than that, even with the issues. All the teachers, these kids will go with their teachers, their assistants, all of those.
When I worked, say 15 years ago, so our class size was larger as well.
They were a little bit larger.
We had 7,600 students in 2005, I believe.
And at one time we went up to 9,000 years ago. So that's why.
my concern, other than the sanitary, is things like this. So no one likes somebody who's gonna make a tough decision. But I feel like these kind of things are easier to swallow when they're phased in. Like, I'm just not comfortable. I mean, we've had leaking roofs since 2002, but I'm really not comfortable with completely doing away with the school. It's March, and we're telling people, August, you're not coming here. It's really hard, kids love their schools, they love their lives. Teachers spend a lot of money to output. So, I know this isn't an action item, but
I don't want anybody to think this has been taken lightly. This has been looked at.
well, how long has it been looked at? Because if we
have
don't
been
have
discussing-
information on how to
We have been
correct
discussing
this.
and doing different things at that school for years. I mean, it's not like this is a news.
I would be comfortable if we had something definite to look at. This is how much you're gonna spend to correct this. This is how long it will take. Is it worth it or is it not? Because I'm not against, I know construction and repairs would take time more than a summer. It's hard to get things done every summer. But I'm just concerned, I feel like our enrollment is gonna hit an upswing. And instead of, I don't know how long we've had over 600 kids at Trent Lott when we did 5th and 6th grade. We're just now getting construction on a place where parents and kids can meet without sitting on top of each other. I don't feel like making these kind of decisions and then, okay, well, what do we do now to fit everybody? I feel like we need long-term plans. All of our buildings are aging. I think, what did you say, the average is 50 years? I went to the Palmer 50th anniversary. The picture on the front was just like the day it's been. The only difference is the columns were painted, which happened this year. We could look at these old windows, saving money, being more energy efficient. That will save us money in the long run. I know it's a big upfront, but I'm a big proponent of neighborhood schools, and I know they would go to neighborhood schools. What my
If my
concern
only
is,
issue was windows,
Right.
I would totally agree with you.
Right.
But sewage is a completely different, that's completely different.
Right.
And that is my only school that has to deal with those types of things. And that is what makes this, that has become a huge issue over this past year of how often we're seeing that happen. And that is, to me, that is the much bigger issue.
Have we checked with the city and asked them what they could do? If there's anything they could do?
It's more on our side.
But if it's backing up though,
Right.
that's fine. At least check with them and
Oh,
get their idea.
we call them to come out and assist us when we have an issue.
So they've seen it.
All right, but the manholes that's backing up on our property. So it's more, I mean, we've got a sewer cleaner.
So where's the restriction?
What happens is when it rains, as you said, water comes into their system. Once their lines on the street fill, then ours fill, but the school keeps hacking.
Right.
So what happens is they keep flushing the toilets, the manholes, when I say manholes, 24 to 20 inch diameter holes, that's about 3.5 foot deep, where 6-inch lines come through. And all these 6-inch lines start backing up, and then that starts filling up to the point to where it's been a little while, and this thing really has, she will tell you, it's about 200 roaches.
More than 200.
Yeah.
More than 200.
And then once that happens, then when the rain stops, everything leaves, the water leaves, but the paper stays in. And once the paper stays in, we have to go out there and physically take shovels and wash it, and
Flush it out.
and sweep and break it up, keep washing it and get them all back out. And there's 5 of those on that campus. And like she says, that's the only campus that will happen. Because nobody else has manhole. If they do, it's out by the street, where it's not backing up into
That's what I was gonna, my next question is, we have a potted system over in Gautier Elementary too.
But their one manhole is by the, between the metal building and the fence, and that's the only manhole they have.
How many years has this been happening with the sewage?
It's probably gotten worse after the treatment. I mean,
It's progressively.
it is progressive. And like, the more it backs up, the more the lines are just slowly filling up.
So what changes have we made since Katrina to now?
And the main thing we've done is we bought a $22,000 sewer machine that we can fill up with water and take a hose and run it all the way through it for 500 feet. Each manhole to wash out the lines as best we can and wait till it backs up.
But nothing's been done to the structure.
Oh, no, we haven't done anything on the infrastructure. And it's another one of those things, I mean, just ballpark, you're probably talking $1 million, $1.5 million.
Think we can do it that cheap?
Well, I said,
Ballpark.
Yeah.
His dartboard's.
Yeah, yeah. And I get it, and I guess I'll be the one that drags the elephant out of the corner, and I hate it. I know a lot of people will be ready to run me out on a rail after this, and I'm not saying I'm opposed to neighborhood schools. I wish Gautier had them. We've got 3 elementary schools operating over there with an average attendance of 400 students per. We have 7 elementary schools in Pascagoula, and when you average all together, we have an average attendance of 236 per. I'm not for closing schools for the sake of closing schools, by any means. I have not put a ruler on the map, but from my calculations, the most affected students would be on the west side of the redraw map and would be affected by about 1.1 miles each way to school. We would still, and this is just being honest, take the information for what you will. You could choose any 2 schools in the city. And by and large, any 3 elementary schools in the city you wanted to, shut the doors on them tomorrow, and we would not be at capacity in our remaining 4 elementary school buildings. That's just the truth of the matter. As I said, we hear capacity at classrooms, and I love our teachers having freedom. I want all we can give them. But when we put easels in there and say we have an art room, or when we set desk in and say that's a tutoring room, they are still classrooms and classrooms first. Is it better for us to put them somewhere a mile away from where they are now? We're not talking across city limits. Instead of going in and disrupting what would be a whole year of learning, because, and you correct me if I'm wrong here, where this is not a start and stop project. You can't leave a drainage system halfway done and come back to it later. That's just not how that works, unfortunately. Now, I'm all for community involvement as well. I understand this caught a lot of people by surprise, and then things get twisted, and the situation became something that it wasn't. Hopefully you see tonight, we were not gathered here to close half the elementary schools in the city. I'm not opposed at all to taking some business and industry leaders. We have some large ones here, take a few representatives. We can put a think tank together. We understand what the problem is. And as you've heard us discuss even among ourselves, budgetary constraints are becoming a concern as we progress. Again, just being a realist, if there's another way that we see to rectify this problem and make a sanitary environment for these children, let's talk about it, bring it forward, because right now we don't seem to be finding one.
I don't know why we're just now having this before us in March for a closure that's gonna take place in August. Like, I would have loved to have gotten a report from Weber, from the city, something, or have already gotten a committee together to look at ways to correct it. I feel like a lot of time has lapsed since the problem started, and no solution has been offered, and I think that's our fault.
This proposal doesn't say tear down the buildings, have the big implosion. The building's gonna be there. Once you get the students out, you know, the part of the problem could be there might be clay pipes of our own running around the campus, you know, but you need to do a survey of what we have professionally. You need to figure out with the city what they have and what they can take, and, you know, the building is still gonna be there. We just have to perform that study. The kids were moved out of that building already anyway, after Katrina. But a lot of things changing after Katrina. In fact, I think I read in the paper where the mayor of Pascagoula says that they just need $1 billion from the president so that they can repair storms problems. Is Jackson, is that part of town, is Jackson Elementary going to be the catalyst for the city? I think it's a bigger problem than just that neighborhood, but you know, we'll have plenty of time.
Well, we've had plenty of time since Katrina. If this has been happening since then, we haven't, you know, it's been an issue with no resolution. Right.
It's not.
Right.
But it has come to my attention, and there's a solution, and there's probably another opportunity for reuse, you know, either student population improves, or it should hold up the auditorium, or, you know, I mean, there are problems in every one of our buildings, and we're working on it, and we've done an awful lot.
I appreciate comments of our board members and ideas, certainly the comments from Parker and Damon. Educate us on what the problems are at the school. I was aware of flooding. I've heard about it since our first survey that we did, I think it was 2012. And it's been on the Parents Advisory Committee a lot. But I haven't seen the sanitary issue on the Parents Advisory.
That has come up more this year than.
It's come up more? Okay.
But this is the first I've heard about sanitary.
That, you know, that changes the picture in my mind a whole bunch. You gotta start digging around and figuring out how to get that problem fixed. I suspect we have a city infrastructure problem that's backing up the sewer onto our property. And I don't know that we can fix that by ourselves. We can put in new sewer lines and still have the same problem. Having a manhole out there to collect the various sewers was the design issue of 1960s, and I don't know what it is now. I don't know what the current version of infrastructure to the potted system is. I appreciate our comments and our discussion, and unless there's something else, Mr. Rudolph, do you have anything?
The short-term solution that we can come up with is we can attempt catch bases there. Something that we have got a price to do. Don't know that that'll solve the problem. Those maintenance men are on that campus when it floods, out there every time that it floods. And that's not the only campus that they've been to, but that's the campus with the most chronic issues of flooding. And my first experience about roaches coming into the building was during the teacher talk last spring when we discussed it, and that's whenever Weber and I started discussing the catch basin. But we just don't know if that's the solution to keep that water from backing up on that campus.
Are sidewalks at slab level, or are they below slab level at the doors?
Our sidewalks are from, once you, because every door has like an ADA ramp that goes to it.
Right.
So once you leave from the door there, it goes down below grade level.
So immediately you're in the water when you step out the door?
No, when you step out the door, you're on the ADA ramp. So
As soon as you get off the AD ramp.
you have the main north and south walkway.
Part of the problem is 40 years, 50 years. Ground grows, believe it or not. It's not the sidewalk sinking. Ground grows, whether it's vegetative matter that got chewed up and down there, or worms built in the ground, but the ground grows. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to have archaeological digs like we have. And if your ground is growing at even 1/16 of an inch per year, 40 years later, you've grown a bunch. And now the ground is above the sidewalks. So now you have the river in the sidewalk. So we can scrape out 6 inches of dirt and resod the field and bring the ground back down to below sidewalks where, initially laid on top of the ground. Unless board members have something else, I'm ready to move on. That was a good discussion, and I hope it was educational to the audience. Our next issue is monthly financial reports. Mr. Brennan has assured me we still have money in our checkbook. We've got to make it last till June. We get a new budget in July. Yes, all of our tax collections. Have you got Ms. Grant, have you got the final check from tax collection?
They sent them to us by the 20th, so we should get it probably next week.
Okay. So that'll be that's basically our last big number, isn't it? Any comments on financial report, questions? Thank you. Down to the Board of Trustees items. Said we were going to discuss the April meeting. We had a philosophy build up in March. that philosophy still holds, then we have a special meeting scheduled for the 14th of April. Is that the right date? No, back it up.
Thursday.
Back it up to Thursday. 12th of April. And then you'll have the regular meeting
16th.
on the 16th.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to change our meeting dates for next month with the, given a special meeting of Mr.
Johnson.
Johnson.
On the special meetings, we normally meet earlier, 6 o'clock.
Since this is for the April 12th meeting, do you have any preferences when we meet on that Thursday?
It would be best if we could keep it at this time for me. It would be a Thursday. Fridays are easier for me to make over there. But
Do we want to meet on Friday?
I'm okay with 6 o'clock.
I'm okay too, I just was curious.
6 o'clock Thursday. Okay. Hearing no further discussion, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. 5-0. That brings us down to, whoops. Sorry, girl.
I just wanted to make sure that over the next few meetings, we spread out the annual review of our board policy. It's part of the accreditation standards that we learned about with the basic course. And there's a lot, so I don't know the best way to break it into sections and just do a section each meeting. I was appointed by July, and I know we haven't reviewed it. So
Okay.
we need to fit that in within this.
Last year, 4-year appointment,
Okay.
okay? The staff went through the year at their monthly meeting and reviewed all of our policies.
The staff or the board?
The staff. And then at the end, they did their section and then presented those to the board with these reviewed with no changes. These were reviewed and we need to make these changes. And that happened through
The first part of last year.
through the school year.
It's a year-long
Yeah,
project.
It was a year-long
It
project.
was just, right, just a few weeks each time.
Okay.
But we still have things we can do. There's.
I was just making sure that
policy
it-
book is one that-
I'm, coming in on the back end of last year, so I just want to make sure we're compliant.
We'll be revising some things too, based on the legislative changes.
So there is no action on
No.
The edification on her part, and Mr. Johnson's part, how we do this. Okay, thank you, Ken. I need a motion to
It's my mother-in-law.
determine the need for executive session.
So moved.
Okay. We'll be discussing a recommendation for expulsion for a student from the Pascagoula High School. A request for approval of an exemption from our board policy of assigning students. And a legal matter on a personnel issue, and a legal matter on a lawsuit that we recently got a favorable court opinion on. So, with that, we have a motion on the table to go to closed session. Our process here is, you may stay, we're gonna go away, discuss those 3 items and say yay or nay, or 4 items, discuss yay or nay, they are really legal executive session material, and then come back here. All in favor of closing the meeting, say aye. Good.